Hey everybody, it's Nate from EXPLORIST.life. So I just dropped Steph off at the airport. She was headed to Washington, D.C. for a client meeting, and I just wanted to touch base with you guys. We haven't put out a video in quite a while, and I feel like over the last few weeks we've been getting a lot of messages asking why we haven't been putting out videos and when we're going to put out new videos, and we've just been having a lot of stuff going on in our lives, and so just wanted to let everybody in on what's been going on. So before we talk about stuff that has been going on, it's really important for you guys to know that we actually have an email newsletter that we talk about. Like I send out usually like once a week, once every other week, something like that. Basically like what we've been up to, what we've been doing, things that have been happening in our lives that may not even necessarily be adventure or camper van based, just general what I've been thinking about and what we've been doing. If you're not already signed up for that and you want to know kind of like what's going on with us, like you really should go sign up for that, because I'm going to update that newsletter much more often than I am going to make a new video. So you can go sign up for that at EXPLORIST.life/subscribe. You can click the link up wherever that is or down in the description. So just to kind of clue everybody in on what we have been up to for the last few months. So last video I made, I think we were in San Diego. We had rented a house there for the holidays, and since January we've been snow skiing. We did pretty much the same thing we did last year. We left out of San Diego and then made our way to Steamboat, and then we skied in Steamboat. We were there for about 2 weeks, and we skied at Jackson Hole. We made our way up into Revelstoke and just British Columbia in general. We skied at Sunshine and Lake Louise as well. Met up with some family along the way, so that was a good time. Met up with some friends, also a good time. But yeah, we basically just been skiing the last few months, basically since the first part of January. The question that's been coming up a lot recently is like, why aren't we sharing these adventure videos? Like, are we not having adventures? It's like, no, we're still skiing. But let's go ahead and talk about like why we're not making adventure videos right now. So last year when we did our ski trip, we filmed the 8-part series, Winter Van Life is More Than Skiing Powder. It was great, and I had a really good time doing it, and I'm glad that we have that. But something I learned about doing that was making adventure videos is really, really hard. It's really time consuming, and even though like we're portraying this like we're out skiing, we're having this adventure, like even though we may be skiing, we're really like, you know, Steph will go down, she'll get video of me skiing, and then I'll get the camera from her, I'll go down, then I'll get video of her skiing. So it's kind of not really skiing. It's more videoing than it is skiing. And I think now that I know that, you know, I really enjoy skiing, and skiing to me is the one disconnect I really have from life. You know, my mind has a tendency to be really like overactive. I'm always thinking about stuff, and whenever I'm skiing, I'm not thinking about any of that stuff. It's like I'm thinking about like where I need to turn. It's like, oh, there's a mogul there, like gonna go around it. There's a tree there, gonna go around it. I'm just thinking about like what's 15 feet ahead of me, not this overarching stuff that I always feel like I'm thinking about. So this year we've been skiing, and it's been really good for our mental health to not be videoing these adventures. And something we learned about last year, and I hate to say this, but you know, this is just gonna be a video for kind of our hardcore fans, I guess, but we kind of realized that people were more interested in the van than they were about the adventures. So we have stats and analytics on the back end of all of our videos that show like what people like want to see, like statistically. And I think the best example I've got is last year when we were in Bridger Bowl and our van broke down and we had to replace the tensioner pulley. That video got the most views out of that entire snow ski adventure video series. And I think the reason it got so many views is so on the back end of the videos, we can have a graph that actually shows like where people were leaving the video, like as a whole, not like specifically like, oh, so-and-so left our video at 3 minutes and 15 seconds, but it's a general, like as a graph, it's like, okay, it's like, you know, starting at 0, we had this many people, and then here, like the video got a little slow, a little boring, so people were like kind of leaving, and oh, something interesting happened, and jump back up, and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, on that video, whenever I was explaining what a tensioner pulley was in that video, in that adventure video, because remember, there was an adventure video, it wasn't a how-to. whenever I was explaining what a tensioner pulley did and how we were going to replace it, our audience retention rates were through the roof. So it's like people were more interested about what a tensioner pulley was than the actual adventure, which that's fine, like ultimately that's fine. But to sum all this up, why I'm telling you this is we only have so many hours in the day. And if I have more people that are asking more questions about building camper vans and solar this and heaters that and tensioner pulleys, whatever. If I have more people that are asking about that kind of stuff, it would be silly for me to not make more videos about that kind of stuff. That's pretty much why we're not making adventure videos. So we're just going on adventures like kind of all on our own, and then we're just gonna make videos about that are helpful, that are like genuinely helpful, that actually bring value to people who are searching them out. The thing with a lot of the adventure videos is like somebody will watch it one time and then that's it, it's out of their head. If I solve a problem for somebody in solar or in tensioner pulleys or in whatever kind of van build stuff, like somebody's going to come back and watch it, and they're going to watch it maybe a few times, or maybe they're going to be on Facebook and then somebody's going to ask a question about whatever, and then this other person's going to be like, oh well, hey, Nate's got a video over that hopefully answer your question. And really, like, that's kind of where this channel is starting to evolve. It's starting to evolve away from being as inspirational as it has been in the past, and it's being more educational, which is okay. Like, I'm all for being inspirational, but you guys can find inspiration from any of the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of YouTube channels out there who are doing travel videos very, very well. But what I feel like I can bring is how to do things. Like, I feel like I've kind of developed a little bit of a niche on teaching people how to do things, which is fun. I like doing stuff and I like teaching people other stuff. One of the more gratifying things that I've been able to do on this YouTube channel is teach people how to do something, and then somebody sends me a picture of what they've done, like based on what I've taught them to do, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like I've actually had an impact in this person's life, and they've done something, and that's super cool. I mean, I know I can do that with adventure travel films, but that was happening not as often as it was with like DIY van build stuff. So that was kind of the long-winded version about like why we aren't making adventure films anymore. They're not going to go away. Like, eventually we'll get back into it, but I need to have all of these like useful videos that people are actually asking questions about. I need to have like a bank and a library of those built up so that whenever we do start doing adventure films, eventually, and people ask questions about this van type stuff, I've already got content made for it. So maybe you guys are saying, Nate, that's great that you're going to put out DIY stuff and DIY content and solar stuff, but you haven't put out a video in like 2 months. And it's like, well, yes, that's true, but I have to let you guys in on something else. So Steph and I got approached when we were in Steamboat by somebody from Victoron Energy. So they make solar controllers and solar parts and everything like that. I've been recommending their parts ever since we shot the video for my mom's truck camper build about last year. So we got a message from them, and long story short, I'm a Victoron ambassador now. And what that means is I'm going to be able to do more teaching. They're actually supporting me in teaching everybody about solar. Now, I'm not becoming just like a salesperson for Victoron, but if I need to teach somebody about something, I have a team of engineers that I can get a hold of, like, I mean, with I'm in a Slack channel with a bunch of their engineers that I can just ask them questions, and they support me on my end. So if I need to make a tutorial on like how to set up a charge controller or how to set up an inverter, they'll send me an inverter, and I can actually have hands-on rather than just relying on illustrations and pictures and stuff like that I just arbitrarily find on the internet. So I have this resource that's allowing me to teach you guys stuff, which is cool. I've never had that before. Everything that I've done in the past has been like I go out and I buy something, and yeah, usually I just go out and buy it, and then I'll do the review or the tutorial and stuff like that. I've never had this opportunity where somebody is wanting to support me in being able to teach you guys about this solar stuff. So it's been a pretty cool deal. I actually went to a training. Victoron Energy flew me and like 3 other people out to Miami, and I was in Miami for about 3 or 4 days. just learning all about their products and about solar, and they put us through a public speaking course. So they're about kind of like personal development and all that kind of stuff. And what's going to be happening in the future, other than what I just told you about, is I'll actually have the opportunity to go to various like trade shows and meetups and events and stuff like that and teach people in person about solar stuff. So all these van life gatherings that are like seem like they're happening more and more often, we'll be able to go to those, and I'll be able to like do hands-on demonstrations and teach people in solar. Like I said earlier, this isn't going to be a sales pitch for Victoron products, but I'm going to be able to teach you guys and whoever about this stuff, and I'm going to have this like team behind me to give me the resources I need to be able to teach. So that's kind of how that's going to work in the future. Now, maybe you guys are wondering where Steph plays into all of this. Like, Steph is she's still involved in this, but her business consulting business it's really taken off. Like I said, I dropped her off at the airport this morning so she could go out to a client meeting, and she's kind of like voiced her opinion that she doesn't really want to have anything to do with solar necessarily. She still wants to help whenever we like build something, but when it comes to like teaching other people about solar, and she just, I don't know, honestly just isn't quite as passionate about it as I am, and she said that she's totally fine with that. Like, wants me to kind of take over the solar and like the DIY, like the teaching stuff, and then when we actually have hands-on like building stuff, like that's whenever she wants to come back in and be involved with that aspect of it. So even though she's not in these videos and like teaching everybody like the nitty-gritty details about all of this stuff, that doesn't mean like she's not involved, or like we're not doing okay like as a couple, because we are. And actually like separating out that's like my duties versus like what she's doing with her business has been like, it's been great for our relationship, like having something that I'm doing and having something that she's doing, and then we can kind of like divide and have our own like identities and like what we're doing on each side of things, which is it's been fantastic. Now, if you're on that email list that I was talking about at the start of the video, you already know this next part. We've been talking about it for the last probably like, I guess, month and a half to 2 months kind of thing. But Steph and I are actually, we are in Colorado like right now. We just rolled into Colorado over the weekend, and we are actually looking for land. We are going to be buying some land, and we are going to be building a house and shop so that we can build things. And I know everybody's like, oh, you guys are getting back into the rat race, and you're building a house, and you're going to have some kids and stuff, and that's not the case. So like one of the biggest like things that we I guess limitations of van life is, obviously like we like to build stuff. We loved building the van. Like that was so much fun. And whenever we're in the van, it's really hard to build stuff. Like I don't have my saws. I don't carry an air compressor that's capable of running a nail gun. I don't bring nail guns with me. Like we just don't have the space available to make things. And I really like to make things. So what we're doing is we're building basically a big shop. And we're going to have the majority of it being like a big shop, and then a portion of that is going to be built out so that we can have a spot to live. Now, we're not giving up on traveling, not at least full time. So we have kind of come to the realization that even though we were traveling full time, we weren't adventuring to our full potential. We were just kind of like half-assing this adventure thing and half-assing this travel thing, and it just wasn't working. And we felt like that even though we were in these areas that we were in, we were having to juggle adventuring with, these businesses that we've started. And we, don't get us wrong, like we both run our own businesses, and we wouldn't be doing it if we didn't enjoy it and like it. And we genuinely do enjoy and like running both of our businesses, but we also like traveling and adventuring. But we found that it's really, really hard to balance both of those in the same spot. We found that even though we may be only, just a few minutes away from like a chairlift or something like that, it was just like we were half-assing both of those things and not doing either one of them very, very well. And so what we want to do in the future is we want to have a spot that we can come to, and we can live, and we can really catch up on our work, and then we can build stuff, and we can have a spot to do repairs and whatever we need to do that requires kind of like a home base. And then we can do that for 3 months. And then after that, we can have like an itinerary of, it's like, okay, now we're going to go to whatever, it doesn't matter where. We're going to go to a location, and we have this list of different things that we want to try to do and accomplish like while we're there. And so it'll be this very strategic like thing that we want to do. And neither Steph nor I, we don't do good, you see on Instagram and stuff talking about the freedom of van life. And I think the freedom of van life for a lot of people is just this arbitrary traveling around, you know, without any plan. And like Steph and I, neither one of us, we don't do well like that. We always have to have something like we're working toward. You know, if that works for other people, like we're not dogging on that type of lifestyle. That's just not what works for us. So if we can get all of our stuff done at this place that we're going to build, and then we can for 3 months go out and travel. For, like, say we want to go to Moab, it's like, okay, we want to bike this trail, this trail, this trail, this trail, this trail, and hike this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, and this thing, and then go climb this thing, this thing, and this thing, and this thing, and go to this brewery and this brewery and this brewery and this brewery. There's not that many breweries in Moab, but you get my idea. That's kind of what our plan is for the near future. But this is starting like soon. So as soon as Stephanie gets back from Washington, D.C., tomorrow or 2 days from now or whatever, we're going out and we're looking for land. We've already got some pieces of land kind of picked out here in Colorado. And yeah, we're just going to go look at them and kind of see how that's going to happen. And our plan is to document this whole thing the same way we kind of did the van build, because we're going to be getting land that's undeveloped. It's just going to be land. We're probably going to have to either build a well or tap into city water if there's city water available. We're not really sure. Maybe there will be, maybe there won't be. But we're starting from ground zero. We are going to be building a lot of it ourselves. You know, obviously we'll have to contract out the stuff that we can't do. We not going to be mixing our own concrete or whatever, but like, you know, we can't drill our own well. We're going to need help putting up the framing and stuff like that, because it's going to be a metal structure with the inside of it built out. So I'm not going to personally put up metal I-beams and stuff like that. So we're going to be general contracting this like ourselves. So we're going to be also like overseeing our stuff. And like, honestly, like if you're still watching this, like whatever, 20 minutes in at this point, like let us know if like that's some stuff that you guys want to see. If that, I think it would be generally helpful for anybody who's like wanting to build their own place. You know, because there's a lot of stuff out there it's really confusing on like what you have to do first. It's like, do you get financing first, or do you find the land first? Because to get financing, you need the land, but to get the land, you need to know what kind of financing you can get. And so it's kind of this, I don't really know which direction we can go to. So we can kind of talk everybody through, write blog posts, do videos, anything like that. But that's just kind of like what's been going on. And I am glad to get back on camera and just like let you guys in on this and kind of like let you know that we haven't been totally absent. We've just been absent on this platform for a little while now. But if you're on that email newsletter list, you'll be able to get the inside scoop on that stuff going forward, even if we don't necessarily put a video out in real time. Oh, something else I forgot, and I may try to cut this back into the part where it was relevant in the video, but maybe not. Maybe I'll just roll with it as a raw video. So videos coming up on the channel. On the blog, I've put out, I don't know, I think it's like something like 15 different blog posts walking everybody through the steps on like how to design your own solar system. Like I said, there's like 15 different things, various calculators, really pretty in-depth stuff, but by the time you make it through all 15 lessons or whatever, they're grouped kind of by lessons. You'll be able to have a really good idea of like how to assemble and build and pick out all the parts to do your own solar setup. So that's on the blog right now. I need to make videos for literally every single one of them, but as they're kind of technical, I had to put them out on the blog first because I put it out on the blog. I tell everybody to go read it from the newsletter. Tell everybody to go read it. People read through it. They say, hey, Nate, like what, this part doesn't make sense. Like, could you clarify on this? And then I look back at it. Sometimes I've made a mistake, and it's easier to correct things on the blog than it is to correct things on a YouTube video. You kind of can't. And so it's nice to get a little bit of feedback on this stuff and make sure it's actually helpful and make sure I'm teaching it accurately and correctly and all that kind of stuff before I make the video. So it's been over on the blog for about a month and a half now. If you haven't been over there in a while, go check that out. You can browse around for that. Might link it in the description below. But that's there, and that's going to be the next videos that we end up putting out on YouTube. Actually, next week I'll be putting out a video, but it's kind of a promo video. It's going to be a sponsored post for there's a camper van giveaway, and I'm going to be announcing that to you guys. But that'll be next probably Wednesday or whatever. But yeah, I think I think honestly that's probably enough for this particular video. Like if we're probably like at 25 minutes now, so like if you're still around, like super thanks for watching, and hopefully this gave you a little bit more insight into like what's going on with Steph and I, and that we're okay and we're doing good, and honestly like mentally we are so much better this year than we were like this time last year. So that's, you know, that's a good thing. So yeah, be looking forward to seeing you guys hop on the email list, and until next time, we'll see you later.